The Billy Slater Podcast. Well, before we leave Las Vegas and have a look at the next 6 games to come, Billy, in round 1 of the competition, in particular Thursday night footy and Friday night footy, there's only a few teams that are left as far as travelling to Vegas is concerned. You've got the Dolphins, the Titans, the Storm and the Eels. You know, surely we take it to the bank that they're going to be the 4 to be there next year.
Is that the only 4 teams that
Well,
haven't
the Tigers
gone?
as well. The Tigers as well. They're the 5.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Bears.
Do they start the Bears over there?
Well, the Bears will be in next year, won't
The
they?
Bears will be in, yeah. Do they start
The
them over
Bears
there?
will be in. Maybe they go first game. Well, you just mentioned 2 teams there, Salty. The Storm and the Parramatta Eels. They're our next game. So Thursday night footy, live and free on Channel 9. They're our next round 1 fixture. We only have to wait, Tuesday, Wednesday, only 3 more days, which is good. I like this short turnaround into the next round. But there's been some spice, hasn't there? There's been a little bit of spice through the off-season, and it's created so many headlines with the Zac Lomax leaving the Parramatta Eels and wanting to go to the Melbourne Storm after the R360 venture sort of pushes back. Now they play each other in round 1, so a little bit of spice. Do you think that'll fall over into the contest, or it's just all off field?
It's a tough one, isn't it? And is this the role of the coaches? Is this the role now of Jason Riles, or can Jason use it differently to Craig Bellamy? Will it even be brought up at Melbourne? But just your thoughts on Jason's approach.
Well, do you think the decision around digging the heels in is the club's, or do you think Jason Riles has actually had a contribution to it and she said, no, this is what our club's going to stand for now? It's interesting because Jason Riles was actually on contract when the Parramatta Eels came to the Melbourne Storm and wanted to take his services, and it was actually Melbourne who granted him a release early from his contract at Melbourne to go to Parramatta. It's interesting how it all plays out. But the other thing is Melbourne have not lost a round 1 fixture under Craig Bellamy. That's a great record, and they haven't had the best trial form. Parramatta have. They won the pre-season challenge, and they would come to this. I don't think they'll be favourites, but I think a lot of people will actually tip Parramatta, given the situation with who Melbourne have lost in the off-season. Pappenhausen, Eli Katoa is out for the year, Nelson Asafa-Solomona. There's a few question marks over that, and then obviously the poor trial form with Melbourne and the good trial form with Parramatta. I think there'll be a few people that actually tip Parramatta to come down to Melbourne and upset the reigning grand finalists for the last 2 years in round 1 and give Craig Bellamy his first and only defeat in a round 1 fixture. I think a lot of people will actually fancy Parramatta's chances.
What about the role of Jonah Pezet, Billy? What a game it is for him to kick things off in this, do we call it a gap year? It was a great opportunity he's got in the 1 year that he has at the Eels. So what are we expecting from Jonah? Probably unfair just to point out for this Thursday night, but for the season linking up with Mitch Moses.
Yeah, I think Jonah feels that his career needs to go now, and that was the decision to trigger the get out clause. Re-signing Jerome Hughes on a long term deal, the Melbourne Storm. Jonah triggered the get out clause and left the club. He still had a contract with Melbourne in 2026. So look, I think everyone understands that situation and that decision. He feels he needs to go now, and he needs an opportunity, and there wasn't an opportunity to push into that position in the Melbourne Storm first team. It's going to be, what I'm really interested to see is how the balance of play goes between Mitchell Moses and Jonah Pezet. I feel Mitchell Moses can play both halfback and 5'8". I feel Jonah Pezet at the moment, his strengths suit playing on the ball, kicking the ball a lot, organising and playing that traditional halfback role. I've got no doubt that he could probably get to playing a 5'8" role as well and sit a back seat. But a lot of his strengths are that on the ball controlling the situation and controlling the team. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. And Mitchell Moses, he wants to be that guy, and he deserves to be that guy. I think he can go a long way to pushing for a Dally M medal if he stays on the field for long periods, and Parramatta have the season that I think they're going to have. I think he can push for a Dally M medal this year. So I'm intrigued to see not just in this round one fixture, but intrigued to see the opening half a dozen rounds and how that plays out and how they build that balance within their combination.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of building combinations, the Storm have to now with a new fullback. We touched on this last week. Suafar Longo will have the number 1 jersey. How excited are you to see Sua play not only this week but for the season as well in that number 1 jersey at Melbourne?
Yeah, no, I am. It really excites me. He's new to that jersey, but he's not new to this footy team. He's not new to this group. He's been around for quite a number of years. He's bided his time, and I spoke last week about how he signed a long-term deal, not knowing that Ryan Pappenhausen was going to move on. And he's got his opportunity now. He's had a really good preseason. He's nice and fit. He's going to do some brilliant stuff this year. He's also going to, do some things that he's going to learn from. So, I think the team will be patient with him. He will reward them, and I'm really excited to see what he brings. I think, given the situation where the Melbourne Storm are at with playing in 2 grand finals and not bringing home a trophy in those 2 years, and then losing some key players and some spark. I think the loss of Eli Katoa is probably the biggest one. Ryan Pappenhausen brought so much variety to the Melbourne Storm play. I just think Sua's going to bring a breath of fresh air, and he's going to bring so much energy. He's going to be in the game. We know that he's going to be in the game. He's going to be exciting. He's going to make you smile. He's going to get you out of your seat and clap. And I'm looking forward to those moments that he does bring that, and I'm looking forward to the moments that he gets it wrong as well, and helping him out through that. I've obviously had a good relationship with Sua and been a part of his journey through his development to this point, and a bit like Jonah Pezet, his career in a way starts right now.
Billy, before we get on to Friday night's game, you made mention a couple of times of Eli Katoa. I don't know whether you've caught up with him or not. If you have, or one of the things I know about the Melbourne Storm is they're so good at looking after players when they're up against it, when things go awry, and I know he's in good hands. But have you had any time to catch up with Eli in the last couple of months?
I haven't sat down and spoken one-on-one with Eli, but I've been in and around the Melbourne Storm the last couple of months. He's trained every session that I've been there. There's no one in the group that brings more energy to his training right now. So it's going to be a really frustrating year for Eli, because he's going to feel like he can play. He's going to feel fully fit. He's going to feel like there's nothing wrong with him, and he's not going to be able to lace the boots up and go out on the weekend and perform. So it's going to be an extremely frustrating and challenging year for him. But at the end of the day, the time he takes now will save him time later on, and I hope he does make a full recovery and he gets fully fit and he comes back, because I know he's got this burning desire to do that. And like I said, every time I've been in the club, there's no one in that club that's got more energy and more focus on what the team are doing right now than Eli Katoa. And I actually said on the Sunday, well, it wasn't the Sunday footy show, we're on air all afternoon, but on Channel 9 yesterday, I said I believe Eli Katoa can be the captain of this footy team at some stage throughout his career. I really do. His leadership is incredible. It reminds me of a Stephen Kearney-like aura about him, and I didn't know that he had that in him when he first came to the club. But I see great leadership in Eli Katoa, and he's showing that in a year that's really challenging for him.
All right, the other game we're looking forward to all these games coming up this week. Of course, as you mentioned, Thursday night at aami Park, live and free on 9 is the Storm up against the Eels. I will just put in this announcement for anyone watching the podcast north of the Tweed. Don't forget to take an hour off. 7 o'clock, these games getting underway Queensland time, and on Friday night at Suncorp Stadium, there must only be a handful of tickets left for Brisbane v Penrith. This will be something else to start off the season, Billy.
It will be. It'll be interesting to see how Brisbane bounce back from their World Club Challenge loss, and they were really disappointing. Like although it was really close at the end of the game, it was 30 points to 4. Like 30 points to 4. Like that's... And then Hull KR go over and play Leeds Rhinos in Las Vegas and they get beaten by 50. So the Broncos, in a way, they got embarrassed over in England. When you have success, it gives you two things. It gives you a confidence and a belief that you can go on and evolve your game, but it also gives you comfort, a level of comfort that if you sit in that comfort too long, it can give you complacency. It's guaranteed. You get both of them, and what you do with it is up to you. You get confidence and you get comfort from success. And if you lean into the confidence and you still work hard and you acknowledge all those things that you did to get you that success, then you can evolve your game, and that confidence can be hard to defend against. But if you sit in that comfort of success for too long, you can lean into the complacency side of it. And like I said, it's guaranteed that you get both of them when you have success, and what you do with it is up to you.
What about Penrith, Billy, heading into this season? Obviously, 4 premierships in a row, stopped at the grand final qualifying stage last year, so they were so close. You might remember they led that game at Suncorp Stadium. They were so close to another grand final appearance. What's your take on the Panthers heading into this season? Yeah,
well, they're a team. They're a team in a similar situation, and the Broncos could actually learn from the Panthers. And it's the one thing that I've looked at from the Panthers every year after they win a grand final. I look at how hungry they are. And then you watch round one and you see Liam Martin doing these crazy things effort-wise, and I'm just like, oh, they're right. They're fine. They're still hungry. I don't think that changes. I just think over the 4-year period of success, they've just been depleted one by one, like good player by good player, and they've been able to rejuvenate, and last year just caught up with them, and it took a toll early in the season, and they just got too far behind to make that run and get back into a position, and took too much energy out of them to push for the premiership. I still think they're right thereabouts. Some of their younger players that they've developed over the last 12 to 18 months will have come on, the Blaze Talungis, the Casey McLeans. These are out and out stars playing in a team that know how to get it done and have that hunger and work ethic in them. So injuries, like any team, will certainly play a factor. But I think this is one of the hardest matchups for the Broncos to have, coming back off that disappointment, and to pull their game together and work out exactly what went wrong and where our game's at. Because let's not forget, the last 6 weeks of the season for the Broncos wasn't perfect. Like there was situations within games where they could have found themselves on the losing end. Down in Canberra in particular, up against Melbourne, they were down in that grand final, and some brilliance from Reece Walsh, and everyone else played their part, but their game hasn't been perfect, and it's still not perfect. It's still far from the finished product. But if they don't have that real drive and hunger to go and find it and be willing to walk across the hard ground and get uncomfortable, well, they may not find it. And Penrith will ask them the question more than anyone. Penrith hold the mirror up to you like no other team does, because they put pressure on you, and they hold that pressure on you until you find out what you're about. So the Broncos, we'll get a good read of the Broncos in round 1 on Friday night.
Sure will. It's a huge start to the season for Brisbane because there's a lot of grounds that are out of action because of the Asian Cup football in Sydney. Brisbane are at home in their first 2 rounds. They face Penrith and Parramatta. Then they're away to Melbourne and then back home for... there's 3 Queensland derbies in a row. The first one against the Dolphins and then away to the Titans and then home to the Cowboys. So it's a big start to the season for the defending premiers.
And they'll all be sold out.
Yep.
Suncorp Stadium will be rocking. The buzz around the Broncos at the moment, the buzz around the game, the buzz around Queensland. It's footy is in a really good spot, and I can't wait for the atmosphere up there at Suncorp Stadium on Friday night to start with. And like you said, those early fixtures up there at Suncorp, it's going to be rocking. So the atmosphere is going to be high. And the pressure's going to be high. It's the NRL. Everyone's chasing the Broncos now. They won the comp last year, and you become the hunted when you hold the trophy up, and you've got to sustain your success, so to speak.
Well, we're looking forward to the rest of round 1 this week. Now, Billy, you went viral last week with your return to Innisfail. A number of comments that have come through. People are wanting the full game to go up on 9 now. I say more than that. I think it should go up on Stan pay-per-view. Could be some money in this.
No pay-per-view here. This is all for the people, all right? I don't know. There is a link to the actual film of the game. So we'll see if we can find it and put it up on 9 now, and you just can not just watch me, but there were so many great players in our team. We had Ty Williams, Joel Reithmuller, we had Scott Bolton from the Cowboys, and then obviously the legends were stacked. So it was a belter of a weekend, something that was really rewarding to go back to my hometown and play one more game, on the field that I grew up playing on. It was, such a rewarding feeling for myself, and I'm glad the community got plenty out of it as well.
I saw Kerry Bostad on the Vision. Did Bowie play, Billy?
Bowie didn't play. He was definitely on the sidelines. Getting Bowie in a bit of space would have been handy. But see, Bowie had the Legends shirt on. He was in the Legends team.
Ah.
He's an Innisfail boy, and he actually played for Australia. He played for Queensland and Australia, Kerry Bostad, from Innisfail in the same year. So he was playing for Innisfail, and then went through and made the Queensland team, then went through and made the Australian team, all from Innisfail. So he's one of the greats.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a famous story that the former commentator John McCoy tells of that year before he played for Queensland, played in a city country game, and a fog came over the ground, but the only player Macca could see while calling the game was Kerry Bostad, just running down the sideline scoring tries all night. So he was something else, a terrific player, Kerry Bostad.
I thought you meant a former Origin great came over the ground. Fog.
Now, the best comment that we received through Facebook and on Instagram following your try was, "Don't tell me 9 are doing AI here." They thought it was AI, Billy. If it was AI, you would have stepped. We would have made it a 30 or 40 metre try.
That's it. It would have been a little bit more special than that, but. It was good. I was actually a little bit concerned. I didn't know the level of the game, but it was like everyone got through the game fine. It wasn't that sort of game that, risk of injury or anything like that. And I got to, like I've said last week, I got to take my hat off to the international legends of league, and all the great players that play in that team. They give up their time. They go up there, they go through the community, and they give back to the game and the regions that love our game. They've done over 100 games now, and I've got to take my hat off to the guys that go up and give to the kids in the community.
Yeah, well said. Hey, Billy, we're off and running as far as the football goes. Look forward to seeing you on our screens on Thursday night for the big game at Aami Park between the Storm and the Eels as round one continues. Enjoy the week.
Will do. Aami Park, Thursday night. If you're down in Melbourne, get down to Aami Park. Let's fill it up. If not, live and free on Channel 9. Catch you there.
Good on you, Billy. Thank you. That's Billy Slater. I'm Peter Basoldas. This has been another edition of the Billy Slater Podcast. Don't forget, new episodes out each and every Monday.